Hello everyone, I greet in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Nathan Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to by Sheikh Khalid Yasin. And then this video says that the real meaning behind the tragedy in Gaza, a powerful advice for Muslim youth. Of course, he's going to be pointed out some of the things that are actually worrying us, or some of the causes of things that we are neglected before the youth decide to start taking things, you understand, or laws upon themselves that result us to be on the situation we are today between the conflict of the Israel and then Palestine in Gaza. I believe that this is going to help us, you understand, not just only as Muslim youth, and then to some of us who are far away from there, we can be able to like have an idea of the causes of the things that are really happening, and then and how, you understand, those things, you understand, could have been avoided, and how we too can also apply it in our various places so that we don't have to face the same kind of thing in our community and society. So if today happens to be the first time of you checking out my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So guys, before we get on to the video, I'm a theologian and I make this video not to discredit anyone's religion, thought or opinion. This is basically for educational purposes, and I believe that at the end of this video we all are going to learn from this. I know that this video is very long, but just try and watch it to the level in which you can be able to take God, understand. But the most important thing is you should be able to understand the advice of Sheikh Khalid towards what that is happening in Gaza and Palestine. So guys, without any further ado, let's get on to this video and check this out.
You know, today young people are challenged in more ways than ever because of social media. You know, your eyes can be in places that they could never have been 50 years ago. You know, you can be challenged morally, spiritually, in ways that you have never been challenged before, because you can almost be everywhere with everybody. You can be in anybody's home, in anybody's room. You could be exposed to anything, any set of circumstances, good or evil, in a way that has never happened before in our world. So young people are very much pressured. Young people are saturated emotionally. You know, they're kind of like buck wild almost. You know, they don't know what to do. You know, good young Muslims, you know, at the end of the day, they're just sitting someplace drinking coffee. They're not doing nothing wrong, but they're wasting their time because they don't know what to do. Or they move up a notch. They're in the shisha spots. Again, they're not doing no direct fawahish. You know, they're not dancing. They're not bumping and grinding. They're not doing no major fawahish, but they're mixing. They eyeballing. You know, they leaning in or out, whatever. They planning, they scheming, they're interacting, they're touching. You know, they're doing whatever people do in those kinds of dark, socially relaxed environments where men and women is sitting together across from each other, and they not married, they sitting with friends, and all their emotions and everything, sensual perceptions is turned up to 9-10. So what can happen? Many things happen, and it's a setup, because most of the time after they blow the smoke and sit down and joke and watch the screen and get in their cars and go somewhere, they go on and move into another level of haram. That's the second step. Others, they in the third step. I call it like the yellow, the orange, and the red steps. You know, the yellow, that's just they sitting someplace wasting their time. They ain't doing nothing constructive. They're not doing nothing really wrong, but they don't want to be home by themselves. So they go drink some coffee with they cool out with their friends or whatever the case might be. Sisters sitting on one side, brothers sitting on another side. So they still trying to be, you know, kind of like following the Islamic protocols to a certain degree, because in their houses they would be by themselves. And who wants to be by themselves? I mean, young people is not inviting young people to their houses and cooking for them and talking about projects like like a seminar or like a workshop or talking about some project. I mean, come on, that's too square. They're not going to do that. So what they're going to do, meet me at the coffee shop. All right, you're not doing no direct haram, but sometimes you're wasting your time. That's yellow. Others is in the orange almost every day. I'm talking about the imam's son, the super Salafi or super Sufi or super Sunni sheikh's son, daughters. They in the places, the shisha joint, blowing the smoke. First of all, wasting their money. They paying for the shisha, wasting their money and blowing it up in the air. They're sitting in a provocative environment they should not be sitting in, leaning in, talking, winking, sliding, profiling. Y'all know what I'm talking about, so don't be trying to act like you don't know what I'm saying. That's what you're doing. So that's like orange. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And when y'all leave from there, y'all leaving a lot of you into a more deeper level of centralization and provocation and other kinds of things. And I'm not making no judgment. I'm saying that this is what it is. And you can't act like I don't know, because even I'm an OG, but I be there. I pass through those places so I can see you. I can shake your hand. I can give you some words, because the other shuyukh or students of knowledge, they just too pious. They too knowledgeable. They too protected. They just on a different level. They're not going to be passing through, seeing you in those kind of situations, because they would be thinking to themselves, somebody going to say they should not be there. But guess what? I be there. The doctor sometimes got to make a home visit. So I passes through those spots and I be talking to you in different countries, in different cities. So I know. And then you move from the shisha, which is a little bit more provocative, right straight to the club. Now, some of y'all is clubbing, bumping and grinding to the music, in the dark lights, in the corners, chilling, and you already know what you're setting up when you're in those spots. You going to the club to rub, bump and grind. I mean, you might do it on a low, because, Muhammad, Fatima, y'all don't want nobody to know that y'all bumping and grinding under those low lights and all that, but that's what you're doing. Many of you doing regularly, wasting your time in an environment you're not supposed to be in, crossing the lines, touching things you ain't supposed to be touching, looking at things and acting like monkeys and donkeys and doing all kinds of stuff, because the music is on. I mean, what you gonna do to the music? You ain't gonna stand still. So you in a place which is kind of like the hellfire. This is like the vestibule of the hellfire. That means like when you go to a movie house, you go into where the popcorn and all that is at, that's the vestibule. That's the entry level before you go inside to see the movie. So when you in that club, you in the vestibule. Next stop is what you're going to be doing that people do who go to the hellfire, who want to be punished. Now, many of the young Muslims today at 7 o'clock at night, I don't care whether it's Mecca, I don't care where it is, the most religious places, and the young people who are the daughters and sons of the most religious people be in these three spots, 7 o'clock at night, drinking coffee, smoking shisha, or bumping and grinding. Now, on top of all that, these challenges that we're going through, and I'm not blaming nobody, I'm just saying that this is where it's all set up. The social media is set up to prepare you, to provoke you, to sensualize you, to make you feel and incline you and motivate you towards these places. It's set up to do that. That's not what you have to do, because social media is also set up for other things that you can do. But I'm talking about generally, this is how it's set up. Now, on top of that, other situations happen. Personal failures. In your personal life. Loss of friends, loss of family, people die. You got a wife, you got a husband, things not going right. You wind up divorced or by yourself. You in gangs. You separated yourselves into different groups or whatever the case might be, and you find yourself involved in crime. So on top of that, you got a situation that takes place like Gaza. Yeah, Gaza. Palestine, whether West Bank or whether it's Gaza. You find your situation like that, and now Gaza is a real set of circumstances that is ongoing. It has been happening for the last 75 years. It's been going on for the last 75 years, but from time to time it comes to a head, like it has come in the last 2 weeks. The amount of trauma, the amount of death, the amount of drama that's happening to us on a daily basis. We're being bombarded. You know, the people in Gaza are being physically bombarded. I mean, you know that. I mean, when I say bombarded, you can't even say it. You can't even imagine the kind of blood and trauma and pain and torture and death and havoc, and you can't even imagine it. You can't say, I have an idea what they're going through. No, you don't have an idea. You can't really know hunger. You cannot really know suffering. You can't really know trauma unless you're there. You're only seeing the pictures. And you're being bombarded every day by the pictures, the photos, the images of the children and the women and the bodies, you know, and all of that there. And what can we do about it? I mean, we can pray, and that's what we need to do. We need to pray and pay. That's what I tell Muslims. Not march and shout. You know, it's not about marching and shouting and just showing up with some placards and stuff like that. No, that's the weakest form of faith. You know, the Prophet ﷺ told us, you know, when you see a munkar, a crime, a munkar, some evil, and what's happening there is because of a major crime. You know, the occupation of Palestine was a crime that took place 75 years ago. Now, whatever happened since that crime was committed cannot be as great as the crime that was committed from the very beginning, when some people's land was invaded and taken and occupied, and then after that justified. And then the people who was the owners of the land, they become the hunted. They become the alienated. They become called criminals and terrorists and all that. And perhaps some of their behavior could seem to reflect that, but that's not equal to the original crime. Let's put that into perspective. Okay. Now, what do young people do under these circumstances where you're being bombarded? Every 2 or 3 images that you look at on social media is children, bodies. And I mean, like, you're talking about maybe 200 a day. Innocent people, women, children, babies, bombs, bodies mangled. You know, bodies not even found, just blowed up, splattered. All you can see is bones and blood, and those bodies that are still intact, you know, wrapped every day and laid on the street because people don't even have time to bury them. They're dying so fast, the bombs. So what do we do about that? How do we live? How do we sleep? How do we deal with that trauma? What do we do about that? Well, some people are marching, some people are shouting, and that's the weakest form of faith. That's showing that, hey, yo, we here, we with you. It's a crime. You know, that's what we're doing. We're marching, we're shouting, we're going in front of the White House or the Black House or this one or the embassy, or we going down this. We're in London, we're in New York, you know, we're in Rome, we're over here, we're there, and we're marching, we're shouting. That's what we could do. Well, that's one form of reaction, if you want to call it. That's one form of support, if you want to call it. But I think that if all of us was to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning individually in the dark, and there's nobody else there, and we washed and stood and prayed for a half an hour for Palestine, for Gaza, for the men, women, and children, many who are just totally innocent. If we would get up and pray for them, Allah will hear our prayer because He is Sami'ul Alim. He will hear our prayer, our individual prayer. We don't have to be marching with 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. That's easy to do. But getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning and making a special prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will hear that prayer of that single person. And that single person who is sincere that single person who is clean-hearted, that single person who cries to Allah, Allah may answer them before he even answers the people in Gaza themselves. We don't know. We don't know whose prayer is better than others. That's one thing we can do. And Allah, he answers the prayers of young people faster. A young, clean, sincere, honorable young person who has integrity and really loves Allah is the ones that should get up 1 o'clock in the morning and pray. The rest of us should pay. If you see 10,000 people marching, think to yourself if each one of them gave $100. You can do the math. If all of us prayed and said, we prayed individually, 1 o'clock in the morning, and each one of us go to the ATM and take out $100. I know $100 might be a lot to some of us, but it's nothing to many of us. But are we praying? Are we paying $100 every week? No. You drinking your Starbucks coffee? You know, you eating your shawarma? you know, you going to your McDonald's? You know, you got your nice watch. You got your nice phone. You paying for this, you paying for that. You got all kinds of things that you're paying for. Are you willing to sacrifice some of what you're paying for and pay for Gaza, Palestine? Pay. For those that's suffering? Pay. Now, if you're not able to pay, then there's some nifaq there. You're just feeling guilty, and you think that you can just go get on the bus and march and shout. You're just silly. You're naive. And who are they marching and shouting and waving placards in front of? Embassies? Government buildings? Government officials who themselves are conspirators of what's going on? You think they care about your marching, shouting, and that's going to change something? It will not change anything. In fact, it's not even going to change policy. No, we have to come up with something better, more effective. You know, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we cannot say that what's happening in Gaza was of any higher level than what happened to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot say that. That's not his reaction. He didn't deal with it that way. He was not sent to march and to shout or to wave placards or just to say Takbir Allahu Akbar or whatever people say. No, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he planned. He started off with good behavior. And brothers and sisters, I just want to tell you something, that you can't distribute bad behavior in response to another bad behavior. Islam is not like that. Secondly, in the face of our enemies, shouting and marching and blaming and cursing is not going to change much. We have to come up with a very good plan. Muslims have to unite. Unite themselves, unite their money, unite their platform, unite their leaders. You know, they need to minimize their cultural responses and walls and defining features. We need to promote our leaders to significantly, optimally join together and put a platform together. Verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves those who unite themselves in one solid wall, marsus, as if there was one solid structure. So you tell me, brothers and sisters, in the United States, where's the leadership? In Australia, where's the leadership? You know, in the Arab countries, where's the leadership? I mean, where are the religious leaders, the political leaders, the business leaders, the industrial leaders, the Muslim leaders? Where are they and how are they lined up together? They're not. So young people are faced with the dilemma of following who? Following what? I say don't be angry. And don't just blanket do things like curse the Yahudis. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did business with Jews. Some of the Jewish people are our allies, or they can be our allies. Some even may become Muslim. And there's nothing in Islam that tells us that we cannot interact with them. And even sometimes we need to negotiate with them. But you know, we're cursing all the Jews. We're doing that. There's no discernment. There's no discretion. No, in many cases, what Muslims are doing is just cultural reaction, historical, cultural reaction with no discernment. And guess what? Non-Muslims are doing the same thing with us, with no discernment. They're not determining, they're not making a discrimination, they're not making an assessment of who is a real Muslim and who's not a real Muslim. They're just bombing, cursing, killing, all of us. And we, in our response, we want to bomb or kill or curse all of them. And Islam doesn't tell us to do that. I say that we have to be in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Gaza, our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We have to be in solidarity with them spiritually and morally. But at the same token, brothers and sisters, we don't act the way other people act just because they did something wrong to us. If somebody did a criminal act against us, we don't do a criminal act to them. We're not a gang like that. We have our principles. We have our protocols. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. This is what the Quran said. Our Prophet ﷺ, he's the one وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. He was a rahmah. All keep this in mind. Our Prophet ﷺ, he never harmed anybody. He said, لا ضرر ولا ضرارا. There should be no harming and no reciprocation of harm. So when somebody harms us, we need to respond to that, protect ourselves, advise them. We need to insulate ourselves. We need to do all of that. But we don't cause harm just because somebody harmed us. So brothers and sisters, I want to tell you that we living in very dangerous times where sometimes we're being led by unseen hands. Situations that are happening in front of us, sometimes there are unseen, hidden hands behind crowds and actions that are being done. Sometimes what you're seeing is not just the people. There are other hands behind it, that are manipulating the circumstances. There are people who are pushing the buttons. And sometimes we are being called to do an act and we don't even know who the hidden hands are. We have to think, step back for a moment. We have to hold on to our dignity, hold on to our honor. The blood of every Muslim or any Muslim is more sacred than the Kaaba. That's what our Prophet ﷺ said. The blood of one Muslim is more sacred than the Kaaba. And so the Kaaba for us is a symbol. And Aqsa is a symbol. And we don't need to lose our lives. We don't need to lose our blood. And we don't need, to become martyrs just to save Aqsa. No. No, it's the lives of the people that's more important than that. And we know that from the surah called Fil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us a scenario that took place before the birth of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when some people, it's in the chapter called the elephant, when some people, Abraha was a king. He was jealous. He was a hater. And he came with an army of elephants to destroy the Kaaba. And the Prophet's grandfather, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, he was the patriarch of Mecca. And he was there to protect Mecca and serve the people. That was his job. And when Abraha came to Mecca to destroy the Kaaba, Abraha did not confront him. He could have. He's the patriarch of Mecca. We can't say he wasn't brave. We can't say he was punked out. No, he was wise. He was not a Muslim, but he was wise. So what did he tell Abraha? He told, Abraha, listen, you want to destroy this house? That house has its own Rabb. It has its own owner. Me, I'm the owner of these sheep and goats and camels And my people, our sheep and goats and camels, we're going to take them up to the hill. And you do whatever you want to do. Subhanallah, look at that wisdom. He was not a Muslim, but he understood his own capacity. And he understood that that house has its own owner. And guess what, brothers and sisters? Aqsa has its Rabb. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is able to protect His house or that symbol. We should be concerned about our belongings, our families, the lives of the people in that area, and the lives of other Muslims, and the lives of other people, brothers and sisters. And just for the record, brothers and sisters, there's at least 200 million people in our world today, right now, 200 million who are suffering. They're drinking dirty water or they have no water. They have no food or they're eating out of the trash, or in some cases they're just eating just rotten, filthy, anything they can eat. Muslims and non-Muslims, and we should be concerned about them. We shouldn't wait for an incident to happen when all of a sudden, all of us, we become social activists overnight. Now all of a sudden, all of us are social activists because of Gaza? No, Gaza should be our primary concern today. We cannot sleep. We can't overlook it. We cannot trivialize it. We can't minimalize it. It's not just gonna go away. But we can pray about that, and as I mentioned, we can pay about that. But marching and shouting day after day, how long are you gonna march and shout? How long can you sustain that? Is that what the leaders of the Muslims are telling us to do? Is that the solution? Are there some other things that we can do to improve the lives of Muslims and to unite ourselves, to have a more dignified alliance together, global alliance together to deal with evil, amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi al munkar? Yes, there are. I just telling to the young people, do not trivialize what's happening in Gaza. Don't even argue with Muslims about that. Don't criticize our brothers and sisters in Palestine or in Gaza, or don't criticize, don't argue about them, about the situation in the public and amongst us. Don't do that. At the same token, we have to find ways and means to build our alliance, to join our hands and to join our hearts, join our minds in dignity, in honor, in strength, to gain leverage, to deal with the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the enemies of Islam, because they are united. The people of evil are united, and they're developing resources against us. We have to be united, and we have to develop our resources against the evil. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi al munkar. Amr bil ma'ruf means commanding what's right. Commanding what's right. And also commanding, preventing what is evil. How are you going to command something without power? How are you going to prevent something or restore justice? How are you going to do that? Inna Allah ya'muru bil adl wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi. The Quran, that's what the Quran says. Indeed, Allah, He commands us to do what? Ya'muru bil adl, to have social justice. In order to have social justice, you have to have strong leadership. Where's our leadership? In the area where you are, who's the leader? I didn't say who's leading the prayer. I don't mean who's giving the khutbah. I don't mean who wrote the book. I don't mean who's wearing the garb. I mean who's the leaders, who's on the front line, who's going to be responsible for us, who is the example for us, who's putting it on the line, who's standing in the front, who's organizing, who are those who themselves have put everything they have on the line, and they are leaders for us, and they are with other leaders. Where are they? Who are they? We have to think about that. And so, brothers and sisters, I just want to say to you that don't believe the hype. Don't get head faked out. Don't let other people be leading you by the nose. Don't be manipulated. Don't get involved in the trend. Don't start saying things because everybody else is saying things. Stop and think and give your heart, give your mind, give your devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and spend what you can spend. Do what you can do. Enjoin the right and forbid the wrong at every time and place that you can. Stand up at night. Get up 1 o'clock in the morning and make your wudu. Leave from wherever you're at and go home and take a bath or whatever you want and stand in prayer. And if you can't stand in prayer, sit and make dua and ask Allah and cry in the dark. Do that. And part of the money that you're spending on your phone bill, part of the money that you're spending, on your coffee every day, on eating that good food, wearing those nice clothes, buying the little gadgets and things that you like, which is all legal and lawful and all that there. Sacrifice some of that and put some of that money together and give it to somebody that's trustworthy so it can be given over to people who are less fortunate than you are. And let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then judge your prayer and let him judge the money that you have been given. And if 10,000 people or 100,000 people or 1 million people in that same day spent $100 or 100 pounds or 100 euros, yeah, see if that doesn't make a difference. It will make a difference. And after that, brothers and sisters, be about your business. Take care of your daily business. Be a good Muslim. Be an upright Muslim. And where you are, represent Islam where you are. And you will find sometimes that people in the place where you are who would normally think that Muslims are terrorists, Muslims are dysfunctional, Muslims are extremists, they'll find out that you, your family, your crew, you're not like that. You're courteous, you're mindful, you're sensitive, you're generous, you're not extreme, you're moderate, you're engaged in social services, you're a social activist, but you don't go to any extreme. And you're not only helping Muslims, you're not shouting and reacting to a Muslim cause, but you are doing something in the society, in the community where you live. There are elderly people who need help. They need some company. There are young people who are misguided. There are women who are by themselves and misrepresented. There's all kinds of situations. There's hungry people, poor people, people living in the dark, people living under bridges, people who are desolate, all kinds of circumstances. And our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he belonged to a group when he was like 18, 19, 20 years old called Hilf al-Fudul. Maybe you don't even know about that. Maybe the scholars are not even teaching about that. He was a prophet at that time, before the message came to him. He belonged to Hilf al-Fudul. So you should join some kind of activity to help the poor. And if you're a social activist and you're really concerned about people, there are things that you can do on a daily basis in addition to the support that you're giving towards Gaza. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the people. May Allah have mercy and forgive those who have died innocently. May He give them what He has promised them. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help. Allahumma ansur al-Islam wal Muslimin. May Allah, He help the Muslims. May Allah help Islam and the Muslims. May He help them wherever they are. Because He's our Rabb. And He knows what we're going through. And He will help. وَمَنْ يَتَقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ الْأَمْرِ. So, brothers and sisters, young brothers and sisters, take control of your lives. And don't be swayed. And don't be angry. And don't commit crimes just because other people have committed crimes or did wrong to you. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you do. Take care of yourselves, your family. Take care of, be honorable towards your friends. Be generous towards your guests. Be good Muslims. Take care of that 5 prayers every single day. Read Quran. Memorize Quran. Send salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ as often as you can. Say astaghfirullah rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayk. Say all those things. And be mindful. And be focused. And be sincere. And be clean-hearted. And be active. That's what you can do in the times that we are living in.
This is a very interesting video. if you are following the recent happening in Palestine, we can only pray that both the Israel and the Palestine, that they should embrace maybe political solution, so that the life of those innocent children and innocent people they are killing every day can just stop. Because if you look at it, in war, both parties lose. Israel has an opinion that the Palestine attacked them first and then they killed a lot of its citizens, and that's why they are trying to attack back, not only for retribution but then to also free people that when the Palestine attacked them, that they imprison some people, so therefore that's why they do what they do. But then if you look at it at the end of the day, I do not know whether it's true or not that the Israel attack hospitals and all those things, kill innocent children, women and all that. So I felt like those people don't deserve to die that way. Some people might have made some kind of mistakes, but that does not mean that we have to take it upon to everyone. We don't have to do that. Killing one another does not help. Instead of us to contribute money and make this world a better place, develop good technologies and have good food security and so many things, poverty is killing us. We just left COVID not long ago that we are all suffering all over the world, irrespective of your religion. We are facing, in a sense, COVID. Now we are done with the COVID-19 and then now war. This is not what, in a sense, we should be asking of. I don't know what the Palestinians are feeling, but what that is even surprising me is, are they not also Christians, Palestine? So what is their positions in this kind of situation? I know that they will still kill both of them and people will not still understand it. That's why I say that this fight is not a religious fight, but because of the way it has been branded, so some people feels like, oh, it's a religious fight, whereas it has nothing to do with religion. The Jews don't even believe they are Christians. They don't even believe in Jesus. They just feels like Jesus was just another rabbi, that's it. All these things is not a religious fight, it's just fighting based on selfish interests. That's just it. And that's why they go on doing all these things. Else otherwise, the Bible have already make us understand that when Abraham died, that Ishmael and Isaac buried him in the land he bought. So why all this one is laying claim of this one, laying claim of that? Like, where did we get all these things from? At the end of the day, look at the innocent people that have end up dying just because of some people's selfish interests. People are dying every day. Is that what we want? So if the people keep dying, then what? Then if you take over the land, then what? How satisfied would you feel? People don't even believe that on the judgment day. That's why they do what they do. They will pray for God's grace. I know that God can be able to turn things around, because what is happening is very disheartening. It's something that we did not ask for. Those innocent children that are killed, they did not ask for this, but yet they become victim. I know that a lot of you have thought and opinion concerning this. I want you to drop it at the comment section. I mean, God bless you as you do so.